On Monday, it was announced that North Dakota was facing a $1 billion budget shortfall, and there would be 4% cuts across the board with all 73 state agencies. Many of the leaders in our state are saying, hey, nobody saw this coming. Many of you are asking, how did they not see it coming? And one person that says he did see it coming is asking for your vote to be North Dakota's next governor. He's joining us tonight from our Bismarck studio. It's North Dakota State Representative Rick Becker. Mr. Becker, thanks so much for joining us, sir.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Chris.
So let's start with this. Many people are saying, hey, how did we get here? And they're saying that, you know what, I think what's gone on is that the Republicans just flat out spent too much money the past few sessions, and that's what's brought us to this point. Would you concur with that?
I would, for the most part. I think that the governor and the legislature has spent too much over the last few sessions. And now we're finding ourselves with this problem, which is really a spending problem.
So when I hear you say that and I look at it and go, hey, there was a lot of needs out west. I think everyone's got their hand out, obviously, for money for whether it be a new medical school or flood protection here in Fargo. What would you not have funded? Where would you have not spent all this money?
Well, the infrastructure is kind of problematic when we put that in with all the rest of the spending. You know, most of the infrastructure came out of the SIF fund. And what we're speaking of primarily and what the 4% cuts are all about is the general fund spending. So a lot of the infrastructure that was required was able to be helped out with the SIF fund. And that's kind of a one-time thing. There continue to be infrastructure needs, but not the dramatic needs out west that we saw and that we dealt with the SIF fund. So what we're looking at going forward is a situation of a continuation of an increase after increase after increase. And it's not so much about which one item or which one area would I not have funded. It's an aspect of saying, okay, we need to pull the reins in on the spending for the agencies and the departments and overall government in general. The state government has grown tremendously, over 200% in the last 10 years. I mean, that's crazy. That's more than the federal government.
Well, and I think that's what I want to get at. And so just for clarity, sir, because I don't want to put words in your mouth, what I'm hearing you say is, hey, Chris, when I look at this, what I would not have funded was infrastructure. Is that an accurate statement of what you're saying, or?
No, not at all. No, we would have funded, I would have funded infrastructure, absolutely. Again, a lot of the infrastructure spending came from the SIF fund. I'm referring to the general fund spending that has much less to do with infrastructure and much more to do with the general and gradual increases of the budgets.
But then that's my question. I want to get to the future here in a moment. But so when you look at the general fund, you said it's grown over 200%. What would you have not funded, or where would you have not had it growing as fast? If you can be specifically, that would be outstanding.
Well, all of the agencies, if we look at higher ed, that has increased dramatically. The number of people that are on the payroll that are non-instructional employees has grown tremendously, and yet the number of students is roughly the same. If we look at K-12, something that everyone generally says, oh, you can't touch that because the education of our children is important. What I would say is that spending wisely is important, and the education for our children, no doubt, is important. But we spend more than any of our neighboring states, and we get roughly the same results. So the question is, are we spending with the mind for wanting value in return? And I question that. We can go on to looking at Department of Commerce. There's tremendous amount of spending there where the government is getting involved with picking winners and losers and trying to come up with these plans of manipulating the market to try and get the desired outcomes. I mean, essentially every single budget can be looked at, and if we hadn't had the dramatic revenues we've been having, we wouldn't have spent them. And I think that there's a mind to remaining conservative and sticking to the principles of small, limited government, even when the revenues are high. And rather than increasing the spending, we should have been much more emphatic about decreasing taxes and decreasing the tax burden and getting real property tax reform.
But then what would you do now? Because you would have been putting that money obviously back in the pockets of North Dakotans, which I'm 100% for, sir. But then now you look at going, hey, we've got this budget shortfall and maybe not as much money going into the budget stabilization fund. What would you be cutting then, 10% out of the budget? Or what would you be doing?
Well, no, what the governor has done is appropriate. I probably would have gone with a 5% rather than 4%, but it's really a short-term process when you do these allotments. But my concern is looking at the next budget, the next biennial budget. Governor Dalrymple is going to be taking a look at that. The next governor is going to be taking a look at that. And the next budget, you know, we talk about a $1.1 billion deficit. That is with keeping in mind that this budget, this general fund had a $700 million beginning balance. The next budget has zero. So
Right.
what you're really looking at is a $1.8 billion deficit. And where are we going to be able to get that? People talk about, well, just eliminate the one-time spending. Well, go ahead.
Well, I guess that's what I'm trying to get at, Mr. Becker, and I want to move on to a couple other topics here, but you said, hey, Chris, we should have given the money back to the people of North Dakota, and you're saying, hey, the only reason we're making it now is because we had the $700 million left over, but that would have been less if you would have given the money back to North Dakota, and then that's what I'm trying to get at is what would you have done. But let's go on to this. You mentioned education, K through 12, and higher ed. I want to move through a couple of these things fairly quickly. One of the other questions I continue to get asked, Mr. Becker, is, hey, with the way things are headed with oil prices, with ag commodity prices, are we going to be able to continue to fund the property tax buy-down program? Governor Dalrymple said absolutely a couple nights ago. Do you think that's accurate?
Well, I think it's going to be borderline.
Wow.
Unfortunately, it really depends on how much and how quickly egg prices are going to rebound, if they're going to rebound at all this coming year. You know, there's some very serious doubts about that. And I don't think there's any sign of oil prices rebounding this year. So I think it's going to be marginal at best. And unfortunately, that's what comes along with the type of property tax relief that we chose to go with, the buy-down. It's not true reform.
I agree with you. Let's dive into this. When you say marginal, are you saying it's 50-50, 60-40, 80-20?
Well, I sure say 50-50. You bet. I mean, you're going to have a crystal ball.
And I want to put this at people's dinner table for you tonight. So I'm a homeowner. I got a $150,000 home. The property tax buy-down program all of a sudden goes away because there's not enough money. What is that going to mean to my property tax bill?
Well, first off, I want to make it clear. I'm not saying that it is going to go away. But to whatever degree we're not able to actually allocate the monies for the continued buy-down, and it may not be the entirety, it may be a portion, but it's going to be impactful to the property owner as though it's a tax increase. Because unfortunately, for most of North Dakota, the subs, the cities and the counties, have backfilled what the legislature intended was to be relief. So the legislature did the buy-down, the counties and the cities did the backfill so that the property taxes remain the same, or in most cases actually went up. So now if the legislature is not able to continue the buy-down, what it comes down to really as a net effect to the property owner is a tax increase.
Representative Becker, I got about 90 seconds left. I obviously want to have you back on very, very soon because we didn't even get a chance to talk about higher ed. But here's my question for you. You've got an attorney general of a state now running for governor where things are going, let's be honest, pretty well in North Dakota. He's got 89% name recognition, high likability numbers. How does Rick Becker become the next governor of North Dakota?
Well, it's all about the messaging. Absolutely, he has name recognition, and he's a nice, affable guy, no doubt about it. But it's about the message. North Dakota has had some really great years, but I'll tell you, this last month, North Dakota was in last place for economic momentum. Times are changing, and we need a real leader. We need someone who can anticipate the changes that are coming around, and we didn't get to it, but you know, I had some very, very strong misgivings about this budget. We need a leader who can plan and can execute the plan and can stand toe-to-toe with the agencies and say, I'm sorry, we have to cut. I'm not going to raise taxes. I'm not going to raise the legacy fund. This is a done deal. If you can't do it, someone else is going to have to come into your place and do it for you.
Man, I could talk to you for a long time. Very quickly, sir, yes or no, is it time to get rid of Moody Analytics because of the way they've missed forecasts for the past few bienniums?
Well, it's time to look at some other alternatives.
Okay,
no one has a crystal ball for oil, but...
BeckerForGovernor.com. Again, BeckerForGovernor.com is his website. I do want to give a big kudos and shout out to Mr. Becker. He's going to be joining us March 2nd for a probably 60 to 75-minute candidate forum for the gubernatorial candidates. So, Mr. Becker, thank you so much for joining us there, and thank you so much for joining us tonight, sir. We'll have you back, okay?
Sounds good.
All right, stay with us when we come back. We're going to get to some of your points of view. Excuse me. Head to our website, 630pov.com. Email us, text us. We'll be right back.